Welcome to Let's Preview, and before I get started on this one, if you can hit that subscribe button, please do so. It would be so very awesome if you could. Now, Liverpool are going to be coming up against Tottenham in the Premier League, and it's going to be a very interesting game in my opinion. I think there's going to be a couple of things here that I'm going to go over. Just trying to think of stuff off the top of my head. I don't really write stuff down a great deal. I'll maybe look at some stats here and there, but other than that, I just tend to go off the fly about what I feel. Now, obviously, both teams have played in the Champions League this week. Liverpool playing against Maribor, and we won 7-0. And Tottenham played against Real Madrid, and they got a 1-1 draw at the Bernabeu. It's a very, very, very good result for Tottenham in the Champions League. So, what is this going to mean for both teams? Well, look, I think both teams are still going to go with what would possibly be their strongest 11s, regardless of how they set up in the Champions League this week. Now, Liverpool did start with what I would say would be one of their stronger teams for damn sure. Obviously, we were missing Henderson, so Henderson wasn't in the team, but that was actually a bit of a positive. And I'm not saying I don't want Henderson, not to be in the team all the time. I'm just saying that I think maybe recently he's been overused, and I just don't think he's really one of those players that can really play himself into form a great deal. Sometimes can do, some players can do it. He's not been in the best form, he's not playing that great. He's had some performances where he has played very well, but they're not, they're just not consistent enough in my opinion. I think bringing Milner in against Maribor will not have only done Milner himself a little bit of confidence getting into that midfield role instead of, he had the whole year last year at left back coming in playing in that midfield role. It's really good for Milner to actually get that and to put in the performance that he did as well, the crosses and passes and just his work rate and the way that he seemed to be all over that pitch and wanted to be everywhere. He was very, very key, and he played very well. I don't think we'll change a great deal in terms of lineup from the game against Maribor. Obviously, I do think you'll see Mignolet come back in goal, but the rest of it, I don't imagine. Maybe the other change will be Joe Gomez will probably come in at right back for Trent Alexander-Arnold. But I like Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I just think it's not that I don't like Joe Gomez. I just think that Alexander-Arnold I think he's really going to be the one that challenges for that right back position, because in a couple of years, or maybe even a year or two or something like that, I think you'll start to see Gomez playing in the centre back role. So I don't think he's going to be playing the centre back role. Obviously, you've got Matip and Lovren. Yes, you've got Klavan as an option as well, but most likely you'll probably see Matip and Lovren. Maybe Gomez will be on the bench, most likely, or something like that. Sorry, maybe Alexander-Arnold will be on the bench. Gomez will be at right back. I imagine you'll probably see Moreno at left back, who you've got to give the guy credit, and I haven't been giving him any credit whatsoever. He's been playing very, very well. I can't argue with that whatsoever. I really want to see Andrew Robertson in this team. I want to see him get more chances, and he's said himself he wants to get some more chances, but he has to work hard and take his opportunity when it comes. The thing with Moreno is he really is actually playing really well. It's difficult to pick fault with his recent performances. He's been playing very well. So, I mean, you can't really say, let's rotate him out of the squad now, especially when we're coming up against Tottenham, who are one of the strongest teams in the top 6. We've got to get into our midfield as well. Now, personally, I would be tempted to still go with Milner and like the same midfield that we had there, but Klopp has already done a little bit of a press conference today and said basically that he's hinting that Henderson will be playing against Tottenham. So Milner will probably drop back out onto the bench, and you'd probably see Emre Can and Wijnaldum in that midfield as well. And I don't have a great deal of problem with that. The only problem I do have is that Henderson and Emre Can are they're quite similar, and they can be a bit of a problem, because I just think they do have a bit of a problem playing together. Milner's slightly different, which is why I think it works when he can be in there, but Henderson and Can, in my opinion, it doesn't work a great deal. Hasn't I don't know. It could all become very, very different. Henderson not being in the team against Maribor midweek, maybe that could do something, refresh him a little bit, and he could come back out into this game absolutely firing, blitzing, box to box. And I hope that happens, especially with Wijnaldum and Can in there, because there's no reason why we can't be solid enough. in the midfield, it's more about creativity. How creative can these guys be? Milner's quite a creative player, to be fair. He's not like an Adam Lallana for us or Coutinho when he's in that midfield role, but he is. I would say he's a more creative player than Henderson is. That's just my opinion. You've got the solidity of Emre Can and Wijnaldum. I don't know. It's one of those. It's a solid midfield as well, and we're going to need a solid creative midfield coming up against Tottenham's solid and creative midfield as well. Getting to our front line, for me, if you're going on just the last performance, it's got to be Salah, Firmino, and Coutinho. They all scored. They all played very, very well. I appreciate it was against Maribor, but you can only beat the team that's put in front of you, and they did in emphatic fashion. I think in English teams, Liverpool now hold the record for the highest away victory in the Champions League. And that's quite something. Now, obviously, yes, you can. It's not like, Liverpool went and smashed like Barcelona 7-0. No, we didn't obviously do that, obviously. But still, I've said it before. I think I said it in my review, my reaction video, that if you beat any team 7-0, that's massive. And why is it massive? Because now our forwards and everybody that was contributing to the goals will start to believe a lot more that we can score goals. Because I think that belief was starting to go. We were scoring some goals, we were just picking up too many draws. You've got to remember as well, especially in the Premier League as well, we've only lost once. It was a horrific loss to Man City, 5-0. But put it into perspective, Man City are smashing teams left, right and centre now. They are absolutely swiping them away with the amount of attacking talent that they've got. So really, I think we were just the catalyst for Man City, which sounds really bad to say that. We were the catalyst for Man City absolutely going and ripping teams to shreds. Since then, though, yes, we've won, I think, maybe a couple of games, but we've drawn far too many, in my opinion. We still haven't lost 2 games in the Premier League, though. So it's not all doom and gloom. We can create chances. We will create chances. I think the problem for me, I would say, is when it comes to defending. I think we'll create the chances. We could even finish some of those chances as well. And hopefully that confidence from the game against Maribor will help a great deal with that. The only problem with that is Tottenham are going to be creating chances as well. And Tottenham have, in my opinion, probably one of the top strikers in the world. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an English person and I'm a fan of the Premier League. I'm not one of those that believes the Premier League is the best in the world. I think it's the most competitive league, and that you cannot argue against no matter what. It is the most competitive league. There's no doubt about it. It doesn't mean it's the best, though. Because of how competitive it is, it means that it's very rare to have a dominant team. Obviously, right now, the most dominant team is looking like Man City. And that's, a Pep Guardiola team. He likes to dominate possession, do all that sort of business. It doesn't necessarily still mean that we have the best league in terms of, attacking talent, how teams play, etc., etc. Harry Kane, I think, is 24 years old, banging goals in left, right, and centre. People writing him off right from his very, very good season that he had when it was his first very good season where he scored 20 plus goals or something like that. And people were saying one season wonder. He went and did it again the next season, and then he went and did it again the season after that. And people are still saying that he's not a world class striker. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's not that far. He's like millimetres away, from being in that Lewandowski, Suarez sort of. And I'd say probably Lewandowski right now because Suarez isn't hitting form right now. Suarez, if you're ever wanting to come back and not play left wing, there's a team that would have you. We would have you back. I'm telling you now. Anyway, but he's getting into that bracket. You can't ignore that. People can talk about. People take the mick out of how he speaks and all this sort of business. It's like, who cares how he talks? Friggin' hell, no one ever remembered David Beckham when he used to give an interview. It was hilarious. TV shows used to take the mick out of him as well. So I mean, it doesn't matter how he speaks. What's he doing on the pitch? He's doing absolutely brilliant, and that's what I'm not looking forward to. Is if he can get, and no doubt he will, if he can get in and around our defence and stuff like that as well, depending on who's going to be supplying him, because I can't remember who's injured for Tottenham either, but they've got creative players, Dele Alli being probably the most prominent one as well. They've got a lot of people that can create, for Harry Kane. They're not the only people that can damage us though. People like Heung-min Son and people like that as well. They've got dangerous players. They showed that last season as well. We were able to beat them last season as well, but I think that was 2 goals from Mane within about 2 minutes. I think we won 2-0. Obviously, we're going to be missing Mane. Salah is doing absolute bits for us at the moment, and he's phenomenal. I love that guy. I love that guy so much. He's ridiculous. He is ace. And maybe we can come out with something here. I firmly believe that this is going to be a highly competitive game between 2 teams that are going to be thriving off a bit of confidence off their performances in midweek. I really do. Liverpool especially, mainly because they've scored goals and they've shown that our players can score goals. Tottenham, because they've gone up against the European giant in Real Madrid. They've won back-to-back European Champions League trophies. First team to do so since Forest? Was it Forest? I'm not sure. Someone might correct me on that anyway. I in my mind right now, I think it was Forest, but I don't know. But anyway, they got a positive result and they were competitive as well. Hugo Lloris put in one hell of a performance. They've got a very, very good... They've got the opposite of what we've got. I'm not slagging off Mignolet and our defence, but you know my thoughts on likes of Lovren and Mignolet sometimes. Mignolet can have really good games. Peter Schmeichel's saying good things about him, but at the end of the day, you look at their, I can't remember how they set up. Is it going to be Eric Dyer, Vertonghen and Alderweireld, or however you say his name, and then Lloris? 3 centre-backs right there that are solid. 2 of them, obviously, I think Eric Dyer is much more of a midfielder, but maybe he's converting to a centre-back. But they are solid as a brick wall. They are as solid as they come. And then you've got Hugo Lloris. If you get past their defence, you've got a goalkeeper who's got the reflexes. He's got reflexes of a cat. He really does. He is a very, very good goalkeeper. Look, I don't know. I think that we can get a good result out of this one as well. The only thing that I think when I look back, and I did have a quick look at their fixtures and results and such like that, I think the only top 4 team that they played so far this season was Chelsea, and I think they lost 2-1. So is this going to be another thing here? Is this whole Tottenham playing at Wembley? Is that going to play into our hands a little bit? We have to take advantage of any advantage that we can get, knowing that at that point Chelsea weren't playing very well. I can't remember if it was the week before they'd played Burnley and they got beat 3-2, and then they went and faced Tottenham and they beat Tottenham 2-1. I don't know. And I don't think Tottenham even scored in that game. I think it was an own goal by Chelsea. Might have been Batshuayi. I can't remember. But anyway, look, that's in the past, obviously, but it does give me a little bit of, that's a top team they've come up against, and Chelsea themselves are faltering a little bit right now. We may be playing ourselves into a little bit of form, but we don't know until we come up against a team like, the calibre of Tottenham. And we are going to have to test it. We really are going to have to test it at this weekend. I'm looking forward to the game. I really am. I'm really, really hoping for a Liverpool victory and some good goals as well. However, I do think I can see this one being a score draw. And I just think that Harry Kane's going to have a bit too much for our defence and our goalkeeper. But our forwards as well will be able to get in behind their defence and maybe slot a couple away. And I say that because I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I want it to be a win. I really want it to be a win. And I think we need the win in the Premier League. We need to follow up that performance in the Champions League, and we need to follow it up in the Premier League and get these points on the board and start, making our way back up there, getting into that top 6, getting into that top 4. That's what we need to be doing, and that's what we need to be doing for the rest of the season. Build and build and build. That's all I'll say on it for now. What are your thoughts on the game? Are you looking forward to it? Who do you think is going to play? Team lineup. What is your score prediction? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this If you've enjoyed this video, please drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you ever so much for watching, as always, and I'll catch you later.